After about the third day with no food, I tend to get a little hungry. So that's kind of what my motivation and drive was for hunting and fishing.
The first 3 years we lived in a dry cabin, which we just thought was an extra cheaper way to live when we realized it was literally no running water and an outhouse and the whole deal.
Well, we kind of wrote the rules for Gutpile, kind of like the hunting regs, where some of it makes sense and some of it's just a little bit up to interpretation.
For the nerds, it's the 4D, but for the regular folks, it's a 4-sided die, so it's like a pyramid.
But he has a purpose. I mean, Hank will beat up PETA.
Yeah. And, we'll have Africa. We'll do for sure. We'll do one of those special, like, Cecil lion card. Eventually, the idea is you'll be able to play with Ted Nugent's white-tailed deer and Cameron Haynes' grizzly bear. And we need to unite the hunters and the nerds. We did that. And it really does help facilitate the storytelling of these great hunting stories that are out there.
This is Tim Hanson and Jim Clark from Gutpile Games.
This is Living Country in the City, episode 22.
How'd that go?
Y'all ready for your dose of flyover state spirit? Straight from the concrete jungle? Well, put down your latte and pull on your boots. It's time for Living Country in the City.
Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in for episode 18 of Living Country in the City. Living Country in the City is brought to you by Bowhunter Brotherhood. Check out all the latest blog entries and videos on the Bowhunter Brotherhood website and get 10% off all purchases from the Bowhunter Brotherhood store by visiting livingcountryinthecity.com/partners. So y'all may remember from episode 19 with Jessica Taylor Byers that we talked about a hunting adventure card game called Gutpile that she played in bear camp. I thought to myself, can it get any better than something that combines two of my loves, adventure games and hunting? Well, after recording that episode, I ordered a copy of the game and took it over to a buddy's house for game night. And I will tell you one thing, it doesn't matter if you're an outdoorsman or just a huge game nerd like me, you will love this game. I was the only hunter in the room, and we still ended up spending the entire night playing multiple rounds of this game. Now, after having that much fun with the game, I just knew that I had to get these guys on the podcast and hear more. So, Jim, Tim, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
So, the first thing I kind of always like to talk a little bit about is just your history with hunting. Like, what got you guys started in hunting and the outdoors?
So this is really Tim's area right now.
Well, I like to eat. So, I mean, that's what it comes down to. After about the third day with no food, I tend to get a little hungry. So that's kind of what my motivation and drive was for hunting and fishing. And since I moved to Alaska 17 years ago, I'm in one of the best areas to do that.
I would highly agree with that. If there's one place that's on my bucket list to get in just a few really good hunts, it's Alaska. But I want to get some more experience under my belt before I venture out.
Well, Sam, you don't need that because I had zero experience when I came out. It did take me 7 years though. It's a big learning curve.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm quite ready to invest 7 years invest in 7 years of tags and travel and and all of that just yet. Maybe if I end up moving up there.
All you got to invest is a small amount, $29.50, and buy Gutpile, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about hunting in Alaska.
There we go. And so that brings it up. So what on earth would inspire you guys to create a kind of not just like a basic card game, but this is like an adventure card game. There's a lot to this, but what would inspire you guys to create this card game about hunting?
Well, there's really two facets to the is that right? Is that true? Oh, it's a facet. There's two angles that we worked from, and basically, I moved up from Los Angeles. And Tim and I ended up working together, and really, I wanted to do what I'd seen on TV. I wanted to do what was right outside my backyard. And every time I wanted to do something, Tim would be like, well, you got a four-wheeler? You got a rifle? You got a boat? You got somehow to get there? And you know where to go? And I had none of those things. And so that was one of the angles, is we just said, we could probably do something with this and make this kind of a type of learning game, but really just have a lot of fun with it. The other one is we both, me specifically, needed to get out of a job and wanted to do something fun. And so this is our angle for that, is we wanted to get out and be able to just do the stuff that we love instead of having to work 9 to 5.
We want to work to live, not live to work.
I can definitely attest to that. And so, Jim, you mentioned you came up from Los Angeles.
Yeah, I lived in Burbank.
So another now country boy from the city. I can only hope to achieve your levels of country at this point, though. I'm working on it. We'll see.
We moved up, and the first 3 years we lived in a dry cabin, which we just thought was an extra cheaper way to live, when we realized it was literally no running water and an outhouse and the whole deal. And that was a big change for the wife, but everybody in Los Angeles thought we were living on the moon.
I've had a few friends move up to Alaska, and pretty much everyone talks about them like they don't exist anymore. Like, it's someone they used to know, or
Exactly. Well, I've had people ask me where you go in the springtime when your igloo melts. I said, I don't live in an igloo. I live in a log cabin.
Yeah, no, it's, I can definitely, someday I'll get myself, out of the middle of the city, and then I don't know what I'll call the podcast, but until then it's going to be living country in the city. But so why don't you guys kind of explain, the basic premise of the game?
Well, the idea is, working with Tim and trying to get the game organized, is we came up with 5 categories. You need a place to go, a terrain, you need a weapon, you need transportation, you need some sort of gear, and you need an animal. So once we came up with those 5 categories, we were like, sweet, we can just come up with a bunch of these guys, whip them all together, and just have you try to collect them. And then we realized you could add a lot more fun when you add these action cards. You can get beaver fever or giardia, or you can give your neighbor a bear attack, or even what was the really fun part about it is we added every animal. Some animals have tags and some animals don't have tags. I think that's one of the funnest parts of the game is do you decide to shoot an animal without a tag and hang on to your animals without tags, with the idea that a game warden or a state trooper will bust you and take all your stuff. So it was always fun to come up with all sorts of different ways you could lose your cards.
I'll admit,
and then of course,
when we were playing the game, it took us a while to realize that tags weren't a gear card, and they were actually on the animal.
Uh-huh.
And so, man, we played through so many times, and that dang state trooper card was near invincible, because we're sitting there, we're like, has anyone gotten a tag yet? It's like, we're out here, hunting illegally. and then we all felt really dumb when we were a little more observant about the cards. There's a couple of moments like that where we're like, oh, no, that makes very obvious sense now.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of wrote the rules for Gutpile kind of like the hunting regs, where some of it makes sense and some of it's just a little bit up to interpretation.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Actually, I will admit, some of the weapon cards that you guys have provided, I think the pistol and I think is it the bow and arrow, or there's one other where it doubles.
Spear?
Say again?
The spear?
Yeah, the spear where it doubles your shot points, right?
The spear triples your shot points.
Okay. I will say we had so many discussions about what that entailed. We probably played 4 rounds, I want to say, and I'm pretty sure we played them differently every single time.
That's totally fine.
But yeah, no, we just, we're all big board game nerds, and we got into this game, and I kind of, admittedly, I bought this blind, and I don't do that too often, but I figured I'll at least find some enjoyment out of it if it's about hunting. And
sure.
So I will admit, my buddy Arthur, whose house we were at, he buys, if it's a board game that costs over $20, he's guaranteed to own it. If it has a book of rules thicker than most state regulations on hunting, he probably owns that. And so him enjoying this game is very high praise from the nerd community. But yeah,
well, that's great to hear.
Now, so you go in, you collect all these cards from the hunt. I get my terrain cards, and guys, these cards have some really funny names that they kind of, it almost takes you a second to hit it. You read it, and then a second later you're laughing. Because you got cards like, for terrain, you got cards like Nunya Creek or River, because it's Nunya business where it is. You got Yonder Mountain, and it's a lot of fun. There's some really creative stuff in this game. But so you collect, your terrain card, your weapon, your transportation. You got the animal you're hunting, and you got some gear that's going to assist you along the way. Once you get all these cards, what happens then?
Well, when it's your turn and you've got all those cards, now that doesn't include any bonus cards. So you could add a subsistence card if you have a non-tagged animal; it's more points. You could add a guide. A guide carries 3 extra gears and a weapon. So you can build. I'm curious to see how many points you got on your biggest gut pile. Our biggest gut pile to date is like 135 points. You can have a dual hunt. You can have as many guides as you want, carry as many stuff as you want. So you can really load down, make a big gut pile. But what we really wanted was to somehow get the hunt to where you could actually feel that feeling if you could just pull the trigger or release the arrow and let that, just see how well your shot is. And so we created this shot placement die, which we thought was pretty great, that it would tell you where you hit it. And what we found was it's for the nerds, it's the 4D, but for the regular folks, it's a 4-sided die, so it's like a pyramid. But you would roll that die, and you would go up to it just like you'd walk up to the animal, and you'd pick it up and see where you hit your animal. So it's either a heart-lung or a shoulder shot or a gut shot. But that stuff really we thought was a fun play on actually hunting and hitting your animal. So you could also miss your animal. So you could roll your die and miss your animal, and your animal runs away. And just last week we shot and missed a bear, and we got him a little bit, but his blood trail went away, and we lost him, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. So we tried to make it as true to form as hunting as possible, and still have a blast. I mean, you haven't brought up Hank yet. Because you probably got one.
Hank only came up one time in one of the games.
Really?
Yeah, we were only playing with 3 of us, and so it took us a little bit longer to cycle through. We didn't always make it through the whole way through the deck, and Hank only came up once, and he was definitely a pain in the rear, if you want to talk about Hank some.
Well, Hank is, we wanted to, because I think we all have one, is the worst hunting partner ever. he's kind of like the old maid, where you can't get rid of him, but he can be drawn from your hand if somebody takes away your card. So we just we wanted to add everything possible to your hunting experience, and that includes the dude that shows up and needs to borrow something or does something stupid, and so we added Hank.
But he has a purpose. I mean, Hank will beat up PETA.
Yeah.
You got good old Hank. It's going to knock them PETA folks right out of that game. That's for sure.
That's right.
I honestly, gosh, the whole time I was laughing. We'd find a new card, and, we kind of scanned through the deck a little bit first, but you guys did such a great job of providing a wide variety of content, a lot of fun stuff. On that note, let's hear a quick word from one of my partners. Hey y'all, as hunters, we are constantly on the move. Whether it's a scouting trip, heading to the range, training for the hunt, or searching for sheds, providing the fuel to sustain this high-intensity lifestyle requires top-quality food options, and you shouldn't have to compromise the quality of your nutrition when you're on the go. Rugged Meats is here to provide superior nutrition anywhere or anytime, no matter what the hunt is throwing at you. Their snack sticks are made from 100% free-range, wild-caught, forest-raised boar, and all products are guaranteed to be free of any added nitrates, MSG, and gluten. Plus, they come in several different flavors and options, so you can find the best way to power your pursuit. Check out the Rugged Meats website and get 10% off all purchases from Rugged Meats by visiting our partners page at livingcountryinthecity.com/partners. I am curious, just a random question. On the bow card, why pick the trad bow over the compound? Any particular reasons?
Well, the game has some really cool angles to it. So, for instance, the game right now is being sold at about 47 Sportsman's warehouses, and we're talking with the Bass Pro and some other big stores to try to get into these big box stores. And so, really, part of the game was we came up with a new way to advertise cool product. So we didn't want to step on anybody's toes by putting something out there that we wanted to actually go and get sponsors for. So, for instance, really we've got so you saw you posted the Ram truck with Cameron Haynes.
Yep.
So Ram truck corporate, if you believe it, we got a hold of corporate. They said, heck yeah, we want to do this. And so they sponsored the cards. So if you looked at the cards, every QR code in the back is unique. So you could actually scan that card and it'll go to Ram trucks. And so the idea was, let's put generic stuff on here and then see if we can get any name brands to come back and say, hey, we want to sponsor a card and get our bow, get our gear, get our weapons. We've had some really close talks. It's just such a new venue for advertising that people are pretty gun shy about getting involved. But we're proving that we're selling games, and we're coming out with another game in the fall. So it's just a matter of time. But that's why we eventually you will see a compound bow, whether it's Matthews or Hoyt or
if anybody's
Bowtech.
Listening.
If anybody's listening.
Well,
there'll be some cool products out there in the near future, I promise.
I kind of figured that maybe why, but I really like that angle because it's a way to keep supporting the game, growing the game, get some advertising revenue for you guys, but it's not like a really obnoxious in your face way. It's not something that degrades the quality of the game. If anything, I think it really makes it more relatable for people when, they see gear that they've actually used. And generally, I think that's really one of the best features of the game is that it does two things. It gets you excited for hunting season because you're sitting there and you're talking about I put together the most legit float plane hunt that I would that I could dream of in the game, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, I got to do this. I really got to do this. It was like it was, a float plane, and I had my sat phone with me, and I had a guide, and, I was shooting my bow, and he had something, and then, and I think I got a dual hunt with moose and grizzly out, and I can't remember the terrain, but it was just, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm practically drooling over this hunt right now. And so not only does it get you excited, one of the things that Jessica was talking about in the podcast that they all loved about the game as well was they're sitting around bear camp. They packed in a copy of a Gutpile. They're sitting around bear camp playing this game, and somebody will draw a wolf card, the wolf action card, Wolf on Trail, and all of a sudden somebody goes into this story about they were out on this elk hunt and this wolf popped out, or somebody. Who knows? People play a bear card, and all of a sudden you go into this story about the bear, or this time that you were on this one river, or whatever it may be. It enhances and brings up those stories that, and I think that alone speaks to how much it relates to the actual hunting experience, as much as a card game can.
Well, that's kind of what we really wanted. We played the game a lot, if you can imagine, and when we go out and we play with our friends or with other hunters, the game is almost a sideshow where it's just telling the stories. We would be playing the game, and it's kind of a chill game. There's no speed to it or anything. You just kind of go along at your own pace. But while you're doing it, you're recalling stories, and people are telling some fantastic old-timey stories of how they got their first animal, and how they got 2 bears at a bait station in one go, and how they did this and did that. And it really does help facilitate the storytelling of these great hunting stories that are out there.
And it also brings, families together, sons and fathers, mother and daughters. You got, older people telling the youth of when they were hunting. So it just kind of integrates that together.
It really does just do an absolutely fantastic job. And one of the cool things is because, I was playing with 2 non-hunters, and, neither of them were really opposed to hunting, but also neither of them have really any desire to hunt. But it was an interesting way to sit and talk with them about hunting, and, they'd put down some cards and they'd be like, oh, like this would ever happen in real life. And I'm like, well, actually, I think it was a black bear hunt. It was the gear was the transportation was a boat, and it was a black bear. It was a river black bear hunt or something. And I'm like, no, people do that a lot. And it's actually some people's favorite way to hunt black bear. And I went into all this and explained it, and it was a fun way to start a conversation about hunting with people that it just may not necessarily come up otherwise, or it's a very non-aggressive way to sit and talk with people about the subject too.
Yeah. It's it's kind of, we get the one side with, pretty much Alaskans. When you're playing with Alaskans, it's pretty go-to material, but when you get outside, it really does. There's a lot of people that are just like, okay, I can dig this game, and they aren't hunters. They aren't at all interested, but they definitely, it opens their minds to how the process works and the things that you need. It opened my mind. So, coming out from Los Angeles, I just wanted to do it. And it took some time and some effort, and it just the sheer, the sheer ability to go or to find a place, it's quite stressful if you're out on your own and saying, okay, I want to go hunt. Well, where do you go? How do you do it? What do you take with you? And so it kind of opens people's eyes on, okay, so if I were to ever, jump into that hunting game, literally jump in and want to go hunting, it gives you kind of an idea of what really to expect and really how difficult it is to acquire and to find a good spot and to be successful.
That's exactly what I was also explaining to my friends too, is how, they'd be sitting there and they'd be lamenting. It's like, oh, all I've got is gear. Can't find any animals. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the problem everyone has. Or whatever it is, I just can't find the right place to go hunting, and I'm like, once again, same problem everyone has in real life.
Yep.
I will admit, those times when I had plenty of animals, plenty of land, and a weapon, but I just didn't have any gear, that was the only time the game wasn't very realistic, because if there's anything I have entirely too much of, it's gear. But
That's not a bad thing, Sam.
Yeah, I could probably save a little bit more for tags and travel, but that's a whole different discussion. I figured I just need to keep making money.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there's more, either another game or more to come in the future. What can we expect coming out of Gutpile Games?
So we're actually just finalizing some graphics for Gutpile Fish, freshwater. So originally we were going to get both games out this year, but we wanted to make sure we got it right. So we have Gutpile Fish coming out in the fall, and then in the springtime we'll have Gutpile North America. We're pretty excited. There's going to be some fun stuff. There might be a helicopter and some hogs in that game. So we're just, I think we're really, the game is built around a pretty basic area. And, we'll have Africa. We'll do for sure. We'll do one of those special, like, Cecil lion card. I don't know if you remember that dentist that shot people.
Oh yeah.
We'll pay some homage to Cecil.
If anyone plays the Cecil card in a hunt, everyone must play their PETA cards at once.
That's right. We might even have to throw in a dentist card for that one. But no, I think we've got some really good set of games lined up. We'll have a deep sea along with the freshwater, and then we're just gonna run the gamut. As long as Sportsman's Warehouse, they've been really great to us, and so the Sportsman's Warehouse will probably throw a lot more of the fish game out into more stores, and then eventually we'll have a whole Gutpile family over at the Sportsman's Warehouse. So
that's awesome.
We're pretty excited.
I'm
going to do some more. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm super excited because it's one of those games where it's almost infinitely expandable, and us nerds, we love just more and more and more expansions for these games, and finding different ways to play or just new little creative things. And one thing I was noticing on y'all's website is you don't necessarily have to be a big sponsor or Cameron Haynes to possibly see yourself with a trophy in an expansion pack. Is that right? We've got the Gutpile Kill Pack.
So once we get rolling and things start moving, I think what we're going to do is we've got to create a forum on the website. But what we want to do is we really want to create a kill pack, and you could actually we're every 6 months or every 8 months or whatever, we'll come out with a new kill pack, and you can buy the expansion and see if you get in the kill pack, and you can actually trade out the original animals with your own trophies, which is really a cool customization of the game. We want to reach out. We'll probably do a couple trophies from some big names, and then have people just submit their trophies, and they'll get into that kill pack, and you'll be able to play with. Eventually, the idea is you'll be able to play with Ted Nugent's whitetail deer, and Cameron Haynes' grizzly bear and that kind of thing.
That's, and that just serves to expand the discussion so much more and multiplies the stories. And
exactly.
I think that's going to be a ton of fun. So now if people wanted to find y'all online, it's gutpilegame.com, and you're on social media as well, right?
Yep. You'll find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at Gutpile Game.
And y'all have a YouTube channel as well, right?
We do. We're still working on some videos, but yeah, we've got some fun videos up, and we'll be. Really, the idea is we're gonna post. The more we're getting out of the game building and more hunting side, we'll be posting more videos, and we'll just be adding those to the cards, and you can just scan those cards and they go to videos and fun stuff. So
that's a lot of fun, and just every little detail is so well thought out. That's what I love about it. Is being able to scan the cards, and it takes you to content, and it just creates this world that's so much, connects in with this world that's so much bigger than the card game. I think I really appreciate the thought that was put into all of that. So,
well, it took some time, and I think, I think we've got it nailed down. We just need to unite the hunters and the nerds.
Things that probably have never really been said that often.
It really is a gamble, a lot of folks are like, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. And we're not sure really where we fit. We do have that niche where we're just like, where do we fit in? Do we go to the outdoor shows and sell it, or do we go to the gamer shows and sell it? So, we're still figuring that out.
One thing that might be interesting is if you were to release a 2 to 3 person light version of the game that's in just a small little pack that weighs a lot less, that would be good for the ounce counters that would like something for those days where they're stuck in the tent and rained out.
Right.
Because I'm definitely considering this September taking my copy with me on my hunt. Weight be damned, but
you got to do it. You got to do it.
I figure I'm going to Idaho. There's a high chance of at least having 1 or 2 days out of 8 that are rained out. So,
yep.
I figure I got my stove, got my Kafaru sawtooth, and I think that also needs to include a gut pile game. So
there's always room for gut pile.
Always room for gut pile. More things I would never thought I would say. Yeah. So you can pick up a copy of Gutpile on the website. And I think we're going to work out some sort of little discount code for y'all. So I'll make sure once we get that sorted out, I'll make sure to post that up on the show notes page, which will be livingcountryinthecity.com/22. And I will also be posting these guys up on the partners page at livingcountryinthecity.com/partners. You can find them there, and that's where the discount code will be listed. So guys, one thing I kind of always like to end with, and I think y'all might have a good perspective on this, is this podcast it focuses on kind of 2 groups of people, new hunters in general, who may be a little intimidated by thinking like, what did I just get myself into, as well as folks from the city who just may find getting into the outdoors and getting into hunting a little more difficult. Just in general, would y'all have any words of wisdom, advice, or just encouragement for people like this who, may feel intimidated or may just have trouble getting into hunting, getting into the outdoors?
It's always good when you can find somebody local that can help answer some of those basic questions for you.
That's how I found Tim.
There you go.
So do your research, read your forums, buy the best gear that you can afford. So that's all I got to say is, your hunt is most successful when you put the most into it. Do your research. Whatever state you're hunting in, go to the Fish and Game websites, talk to them if you can, look at the previous year's harvest reports. But the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And just be open-minded.
There we go. So, tap into your local hunting community, reach out to them, reach out to the resources available online and forums, the Fish and Game websites, and call those folks up. Invest, obviously, unlike me, make sure you save at least some money for tags and travel. But, invest in solid gear and keep an open mind about what to expect from your hunt, and because you never know when, as we've learned from the game, when a state trooper might show up, or God forbid, one of the local game wardens who can't be bribed with donuts. Uh-oh.
I was waiting for you to bring that up.
I just about lost it when I saw that card. Y'all are gonna have to see this card. I'm gonna leave that one as a surprise, but pick up a copy of Gutpile. Make sure you check out the discount code at livingcountryinthecity.com/episode/22. And thank you guys so much for hopping on the call. The game is absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. I will be playing it every chance I get. So
Thanks a bunch for your help and for your encouragement.
Yeah, thanks a bunch, Sam.
Happy gutting.
All right, y'all, that'll do it for episode 22 of Living Country in the City. Make sure you pick up a copy of Gutpile because I know y'all are going to love it. And just to encourage you a little bit more, we're going to give you a discount code to take $5 off your order from Gutpile Games. To get that discount code, you can head on over to our partners page on the website. I'll link to that as well as all the info for Gutpile on the show notes page at livingcountryinthecity.com/22. Go check it out. But in the meantime, stay country, y'all.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.
You got my good side, right?
Absolutely. Wait. Turn the other way.
There we go.
You're bending over right now, right?
Right.
I got to ask, do you have facial hair?
I do. I have a beard.
Yeah, a little beard. I knew I liked this guy. See? Happy gutting.
Without the serial killer sound.
That was a little creepy.